Are you searching for where you can find latest news and breaking news today for U.S., world, weather, entertainment, politics and health? Visit us at www.thenubiannews.com. The Nubian News, loving the Black perspective.
Good evening. I am Kamau Kujichagulia, and this is On the Case with Kamau Kujichagulia, where each week, each Thursday evening at this time, 8 o'clock, we're here interviewing an important personage of Trenton, New Jersey. And this week, we have good brother Algernon Ward, who is running for North Ward Council. Good evening, Algernon.
How you doing, brother? Good to see you once again.
Well, it's always good to see you. It's always good to see you.
So I thank you for saying so. I'm an important person, as you know.
Oh, yes, you are. You know that in many ways. So you're running for North Ward Council.
Yes, sir.
Well, you know, there are probably a lot of people listening to our show who don't really know who Algernon Ward is. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, well, you know, I'm Trenton born and bred, product of Trenton school system, a graduate of Trenton State College, well, the College of New Jersey. But I call it Trenton State, okay? Right. I like using the word Trenton in there. But yeah, I graduated from Trenton State. I have 2 children. They're adults now, and I got 4 grandchildren. I still live here in the city of Trenton because I ain't leaving until I get ready. And I don't think I'll ever be ready if I ain't left by now. So I know I've always been involved in the community life here in the city of Trenton. From my high school days up until today, I've always been described as a civic activist because I felt if you're not engaged in the great issues of your time, you're in peril of being judged not to have lived. And I want to live every minute of my life and do some good in the community that I belong to. And I've known you many years. I've seen you on the battlefield from the very beginning. And the work you've been doing has been marvelous. And I've always been a supporter because you're doing the right thing. And as long as that's the case, I'm right there with you. Okay. In my activist life, I've worked in politics and social issues the entire time because those were a means to an end, and that's to move the community forward. I've always felt that it was my job as a Black man to step up and deal with the issues that confront you.
Okay, that's good. Now, like you said, we've been out here a long time.
Yes, sir.
And I suppose we're going to be out here a lot longer, or we hope anyway.
Well, that's our vocation, and you got to call the shot on just how long. But let's face it, Kamau, the quiet warrior, that this is what he's called us to do. And I've resolved to accept that many years ago. And so it's always good to see a fellow soldier, somebody out there working to move our community forward. So it's my pleasure to be here tonight. You know, somebody asked me, well, what do you do? What was your professional life? I'm retired now, but I'm proud to say that, you know, I'm the first Black research scientist to work for Department of Health here in New Jersey. I was the first Black chemist to do that. So by vocation, I'm a scientist, and I hope to bring that analytical skill to the office of city councilman, a person who can use the analytical skill to look through the detail and to be able to do research, you know, break new ground, get out, think outside of the box, do things that nobody else has thought of, and to explore. And I think that that's a valuable skill to a person who hopes to represent the people of the North Ward here in the city of Trenton.
So let me ask you this. You're running for the North Ward Council seat. Why should anyone vote for you?
Because it's going to be good for them. By having somebody in the office who's competent who understands how the city operates and how it's supposed to operate. And that's not just saying by standing around watching. I actually was in the inaugural class of Leadership Trenton Fellows. And what that was, it was about 30 of us who spent 1 year studying the city of Trenton and all of the departments and all of its budgets and talking to all of the directors and the school system, police department, every department in the city of Trenton to understand how it's worked, what its mandate is, what its legal basis is, what the problems are, what the workers feel. And we spent a year on doing that. So I come to this with the background and actually an academic study of the city of Trenton, so that I'm not just getting in there on doing on-the-job training. I know how it operates and should operate, and I'll be able to bring that to
how does it how should it operate?
Well, we operate under a form of government that has a executive and administrative branch, and the city council is a legislative branch, much like the federal government is with the executive branch and the legislative branch. The city of Trenton operates along those same lines.
So why is the city of Trenton so messed up? Or wait a minute. Well, let me ask you this: is it messed up?
Well, I mean, I'll put it to you this way: there are some things in Trenton that are messed up. I don't think the people in Trenton are messed up. I think that there's some things that challenges we got, like many other places, and what we got to do is work together to figure out how to overcome those challenges. Now, when you say messed up, you have to be more specific, because there's some hopeful signs here in the city as well as some disappointing signs.
Let me be more specific. The education system,
yes,
is messed up. And
yes.
when I say that, I say that to say that less than 20% of our graduating students have passed the New Jersey testing requirements. Okay, and this is something that's been going on for 40 years now. Okay, that's one of the things I mean when I say Trenton is messed up.
And you have every right to point. And
you
out.
were on the school board.
I was on the school board,
right?
And like I said, so I'm not coming to this, without with a lack of background on this. Yeah, I sat on the school board, and I had to look inside to see where the problems were and where the hopeful sides were. You're right,
but it never changed.
Well, let's say this. We built over 10 schools in the last 15 years. So the physical plant of the city of Trenton has improved.
Right.
All right. The buildings.
Right.
Okay.
That ain't why we're here.
No, it's not why we're here. But you add to dilapidated buildings and low test scores, and you got a real problem. So now we
have a real problem regardless.
Well, I agree with you. You're preaching to the choir about
I know, brother.
Because we only got 64% rating of graduates from City of Trenton. To me, that's unacceptable. When you mention 20% proficiency in reading, also 10% in math scores. That's unacceptable.
If that high. If that high.
Well, I looked at the statistics, and that's what it's saying. We're in the bottom 50% of the schools in New Jersey. Right. And so I'm not satisfied with that situation. And so I have to look at what can we do to improve it. And
what's your plan?
First off, from the school board is the ones who are supposed to implement planning and do the planning. The city council's role is to finance whatever the school board comes up with, and by the way, hold them accountable that whatever they're planning and what they're trying to do is actually going to have the effect that our dollars are being poured into. Now, with the city of Trenton students, we're one of the blackest and Hispanicest schools in New Jersey. All right. What does that tell you about the challenges that our students are going to face. Now, I'm not going to go into a long dissertation about how the socioeconomic condition of Black people has been attenuated in the United States since we got here in 1619. We've had challenges of every sort to overcome. And I'll be the first to say we haven't overcome them all yet. We're still stuck in the socioeconomic quagmire. But rather than wring my hands and say how terrible things are, I want to hear solutions that are viable to get it up. And one of the things that's changed in the last, I'd say 10 years, I don't have that statistic, but in the last 10 years or so, we've had a new influx of immigrants into the city of Trenton. Trenton has always been a city of immigrants. So their challenge would be the English language, okay? So if you got more than 50% of the students in the student body now who are challenged with the English language, or called ELL, that's English language learners, then we have to put more resources to bring those kids up to speed. Now, by the way, those kids that their English score does not say that they're not intelligent. It means that they have trouble with the language. So we have to invest in bringing them up to speed with their reading skills, and you watch the scores for the average score in the district go up. Now, we also found that the longer a child is in the child with English language learners in the school district, the better his reading score. So, for instance, if a kid started in the Trenton public school system in the 3rd grade and English was his second language, by the time he's in the 9th grade, he's much more proficient in reading and literacy than a child that comes in the 9th grade into the school and has to learn English at that stage of his life. So the longer, sir,
Algernon,
sir,
we've been on this treadmill for 40 years, and nothing, well, I'm not going to say nothing, but very little good has happened in 40 years. Once you get to council, what are you prepared to do to change his situation?
Well,
because understand, every year for the past 40 years, we've lost 1,000 children.
We mean lost 1,000?
That they did not come out of high school with a thorough and efficient education.
Okay.
Well,
number one, I'd be lying if I sit here and told you that one city councilman can turn this whole thing around by himself. That would be
why? Why would you tell me that?
Exactly.
Why would you say you lying? Why?
Because one person, it takes more than one person to deal with this. We have to deal with this as a community.
So in other words, you're not going to put it on your back.
Huh?
You're not prepared to put it on your back.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I'm not going to say that. I'm not afraid to take up any challenge that I can, but I'm also realistic about, can one person change this around by himself?
40 years, brother. 40 years. We've had not just one person, we've had a multitude of people during that time.
I'm going to say to you,
it hasn't been done. We got to cut that somewhere, and somebody got to do it.
I agree with you 100%. But all I can say to you is this is the struggle that our ancestors have been fighting since 1619. And what you're saying is that you're mad because we ain't done yet. We got a long way to go. I'll concede that immediately. And I'm not going to tell you that if I'm on city council, it's going to change overnight. I'm going to tell you the truth. We got a lot of work to do. You got to have somebody who's willing to do it, who's competent to do it, who recognizes the problem and is willing to put the work in.
Are you for or against the elected school board?
I was around long enough to see the two in action. I'm telling you that we have an appointed school board now because the elected school board we had before was worse, a lot worse. We had racists on the Trenton Schools board because they were popular in their neighborhood. And they got elected to the board and was calling the students niggas. They were saying, I was putting no money in there. Well, these people ain't worth our effort. We had a school board member say, I'm on a school board. I wouldn't send my kids to Trenton School. but he's making decisions on our children. So the quality of school board members is key to that. And there's no check on the quality of a person who sits on the school board if they're elected. You don't even have to have a high school diploma. As long as you win a popularity contest in your neighborhood, you're on the school board.
How about the quality of the school board now?
It's much better than it was. At least everybody sitting on the school board is at least a college graduate, has some experience in education, and are not coming on there with racist attitudes. That's better.
Isn't good enough to ensure a thorough and efficient education for our children.
Board has that as its primary responsibility, and it's up for the city council to make sure that that's what the school district is about doing. And we also have a responsibility to the taxpayers that we're not just shoveling money into a black hole that's not producing anything. We have a responsibility that to make sure that the school board is applying those working tax dollars to the places where they're most needed. Somebody's asking me the question, what year was that, Brother Ward? I don't remember exactly what year it was.
What year was what?
I guess when we had a elected
school board.
Yeah, I think that's early 80s.
Yeah, it changed like in the late 80s.
Right, it changed in the 80s, and I don't remember exactly which year that was. But I can tell you, our school board, at that time was a shambles. That's why the people in the city of Trenton demanded. This didn't happen. Somebody just didn't decide that. We demanded more accountability and went away from an elected board based on the experience we had.
The mayor selects every school board member. Is it?
Not just the mayor. The city council members actually.
That's what I was getting at. Does the city council have to approve them?
You have to approve them, and the tradition has been that the city council president and also gets to appoint some school board members.
Really?
He makes they make the recommendation, and they all vote on the ones that they approve. So it's not just the mayor.
So basically, what you're saying is that it's not only the mayor's fault that they have such a sorry that there have been such sorry school boards, but it's also council's fault.
Well, yeah, it's council has a hand in it. No question about it. The city council.
There has been no accountability. No one has been called up on the carpet and said, "Hey, look, you're not doing what you were put there to do."
Well, I'll agree with you on that. I mean,
will you hold people accountable?
Of course you will.
Call them back and say, "Look, you've been there for 2 years. We're still in the same condition that we were in."
Let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
If you're dealing with people who have
wait a minute, hold it. No.
That's a question. All right,
I'm interviewing you.
Okay.
I'm not running for
it.
But let me change gears a little bit. Economics is another downfall of the city of Trenton. Are you or are you not for or would you not be for a resolution in favor of reparations coming from city council? Would you even put it forth?
Yeah, absolutely. I would certainly look at it.
Wait, let me go back a little bit further. Are you not in favor of reparations?
I'm in favor of reparations. Make it clear. I'm in favor of reparations. No, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Okay. Right. But I will say this. That's not the whole answer either to economic empowerment, right? I am not just talking about economic empowerment and pointing out what the problems are. I'm engaged in forming the Trenton Community Credit Union so that we can take best use of our own money. We don't have to ask anybody for anything. We actually have the money to dig ourselves out of the economic situation that we're in, okay? We have... by putting our money in our own institutions that will put it back into the Trenton community, we can empower ourselves. And that's why I'm not just talking about this issue. I've been working on this issue, and we're forming Trenton Community Credit Union as we speak. In fact,
what's up with that?
Well,
I know you've been talking about that for a while.
That's right.
How close are we for that to actually become?
Well, let me say this. At this stage, we've got the proper number of subscribers that we need in order to form it, which was a tough fight, but we've done that to qualify in the Department of Banking. And we're working with the Trenton Housing Authority right now to open our first office. We have some more paperwork to do with the National Credit Union Association, so the insurance we're properly insured, and we're finalizing our business plan. So yeah, we're moving. In fact, just this week, we've been recognized by the Work Environment Council, which is 70 unions and environmental groups, for the work we've been doing with the Trenton Community Credit Union. So I left the meeting with the Board of Incorporators earlier this evening at 6 o'clock. We had our monthly meeting.
So how close are we to this happening?
Oh, we're within a year or so. It's going to take some time to get the office done, and it's still going to take some. We have to get our charter from the Department of Banking, who moves at their own pace. But we're very close to that. We've done our part. I'd say we're 3/4 of the way done with our part of that situation. But what I'm pointing out to you is that this is how we're going to build generational wealth among the people of Trenton, so that renters become homeowners. The small business people who need investment capital can come to the bank that they put their money in and get the kind of help we have in our bylaws.
But where are they going to get the money from the jump? You know, right now, white people make 40% more than black people.
Okay.
All right. So they're 40% higher, starting off 40% higher than we are right now, even though we're doing the same job. Okay. Well, without a way to repair the damages that have been done in the past, how are we ever supposed to catch up?
Well, the way we're supposed to catch up is you look at how white people have made generational wealth.
And how have they done that?
They've done that through property ownership.
And where did they get the property?
Well, I mean, that's a long story, but let's just say that white people have always had access to land, and they've figured out very early that
because white people gave them that land, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, but you're asking me, yes, and we can spend a lot of time talking about that, but
we don't have to.
We all understand that. I'm gonna stipulate that.
No, we don't all understand that. Most white folks would argue vehemently about that.
What? About what?
That they were given a head start.
They can argue all day long, but I'm not going to spend any time arguing with them about that. Right. What I'm going to do is empower our people to use the very same method that they built wealth, and that is through passing wealth down from one generation to another. And the way that is done is through the ownership of property. Now, you got most of the people living in houses in the city of Trenton in the Black community are renters. And they're paying as much as rent as they would with a mortgage, but they can't get a mortgage because they go to institutions that are holding their money. And if they got their FICO score ain't right, they can't get a mortgage, or they get a high rate mortgage. With the Trenton Community Credit Union, if you're a member of the credit union, we're able to break down that wall that bars you access to mortgage, so that you stop being a renter and become an owner. Now, your child, when you pass on,
let me ask you something else.
With assets like they did. And by the way, what they didn't do is take their money that they had in their property, take money and educate their children with that money. And their children start out with that advantage.
With that money that we're on this merry-go-round
to
do whatever they want to do with it.
Right. Well, that's the point.
Right.
We want to make people owners, not renters. We want to be lenders, not borrowers. We want to take the money that we do have and put it to our benefit, rather than benefit some shareholder in the bank that don't give a damn about Trenton.
Right.
All right. But this is focused on the people of Trenton. If you live, work, or a student in Trenton, you can be a member of the credit union. That's our field of interest. And we are also going to
ask you another question.
Okay.
All right. Now, you got shot living in Trenton not too long ago, right?
That's right.
A few years ago, right?
Yeah.
What are we going to do about the the lack of public service by the police here in the city of Trenton?
Well, part of my platform is about police reform, and that would take the whole hour for us to discuss.
Nah, bro, you got 5 minutes.
That's what I'm saying. I got to cover all. I got to tell you how to change the world in 5 minutes, right? I'm in favor of police reform. What's
that mean?
Well, reform the way that we get police services here in the Trenton. I'm interested in crime prevention, not crime reaction. And that means investing some money in crime prevention programs. And what do I mean? We know that right now there's 2,100 people in drug rehabilitation. That's 2,100 broken families. All right. We got to put money in fixing that person when they come out of rehab and get into that family and make sure that we back up that service so that they become productive for themselves and their family and the city in general. And by the way, there's kids in that house. We got to make sure we intervene with that kid so that he wouldn't know why he's having trouble in school.
So how are you going to do this?
Score ain't so great. Okay, those are the kind of issues that you have to deal with.
So how are you going to do this?
Like I said, crime prevention instead of crime reaction. Work on those broken families. Intervene with those young people before they get.
What are the police going to be doing while this is going on? Well, what's their part in this?
The police come after the crime is committed. I'm talking about stopping the crime from being committed in the first place. Okay, they're crime reaction. They're not a crime prevention, and they'll tell you that. They're not social workers.
So we should take money that they're getting now and put it into something else.
That's right. We could use a lot of the resources that go into policing in better places, and in more intelligent places. I think that we can apply the funds that we put in public safety into crime prevention. And it also has to do with a civilian review board to review the kind of service we are getting from our police department. The civilian has the quality control over, are we getting the services that we want? These are the outcomes that we want? We're putting money in this. Is this really having an effect? And when the incidents occurred,
and empowered civilian review board, right?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Because there's ones they go through the motions, an advisory committee. Well, yeah, you can give all the advice you want, but if you don't have statutory authority to undertake certain things, it's just a show. It's all window dressing. You're not really addressing the problem. I want a civilian review board with teeth that make sure that the questions it asks are answered, and that the things that it brings down are implemented, so that it's a real quality control check, not just lip service to the whole notion of that.
Now, of the 3 people running for mayor, which one of them would you work best with?
I'll work with any of them because I'm not worried about who the mayor is. I'm worried about what we're doing for the people who live here. I'm here to represent their interests, and that doesn't matter to me who the mayor is. Of course, I would have my preferences, but I'm saving that for later. Wait a minute. What do
you mean saving that for later? Tell us who your preferences are.
Well, I'm gonna tell you later.
Brother, tell us. That's why you on the show now.
Well, how many
we want to hear now?
How many have endorsed that award for North Ward Councilman?
Okay.
So when one of them steps up and says they for me and pushes behind me, then I'll consider that. But by the way, it's more important to me that the person who represents the North Ward can do that with the skill and competence that the people deserve. That's what's important to me, and I don't care who the mayor is at that point. I really don't.
Algernon,
sir.
Algernon,
sir.
I got to let you go, brother.
Well,
it's been wonderful.
It's been lively. It's been wonderful, and
as it always is when we sit and chat.
Yes, it is. And thank you for having me, Kamau. Anyone who'd like to contact me, they're free to cut AlgernonWard.com. So
AlgernonWard.com.
Yes. My site is still under construction. I'm dealing with that issue right now, but that's where a lot of what I'm saying is going to be found.
So it's going to be AlgernonWard.com.
Yes, sir.
All right, brother. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you for.
Okay. How? Okay, man. That was good. That was very good talking with Algernon. Next week we're going to have Divine Allah. Really?
September 22nd.
Divine Allah is September 22nd. That's next. Lordy, we're gonna have a good show next week. We're gonna have another good show next week, I should say. Divine Allah, man. Now you're talking about a brother that is verbal. Okay, we've had some verbal people in these past few weeks, so haven't we?
Yes, we have.
I think if we get some of these people on the city council, we're gonna have a better city council, but it's gonna have to get better it's gonna have to get a lot better, because they're gonna have to start dealing with the school board, because they always say, well, the council doesn't have anything to do with the school board. We can't, or bull nonsense. All right. If you're putting these people in, then you can hold these people accountable. Even if it's nothing more than the bully pulpit, you can hold them accountable. So we're going to have to make sure that the council that gets in, because we can't continue to lose 1,000 students every year. We lost 40,000 students in the last 40 years. It's got to change. Anyway, I am Kamau Kujichagulia. Next week, next Thursday at 8 o'clock, Divine Allah is going to be here, and we really want you to tune in. Okay, tune in again. Put your comments on. We see them, and they're going to be on the website. They're going to be on Facebook. They're going to be on YouTube. We appreciate it very much. So I am Kamau Kujichagulia, and I'm wishing you all a very good evening. Thank you.